All right, what I'm going to try to do in this next 5 or 6 minutes is just give you some seven bigger themes that have appeared oftentimes on this new test that they changed, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 years ago now. Looks like about 16-ish, so maybe 6 years, 5 or 6 years now. So this is not everything. There's always going to be different stuff, but I'm just trying to give you little things that you could do to study. And if you want to do well, you'll do it, you'll use it. And if you don't really care, I guess you don't really care. So this will help you if you take the test in May, but it's also going to help you with the final exam that you have to take for me. So even though I made an earlier video about this one final that you're taking, I didn't cover all the topics, and this might help you come up with a couple of other topics or things to study. So here we go, big themes. This is only a short little video here. Here's the first big three, all right? So I have 4 old tests that I'm looking at right in front of me, and on every single one of them, there's something to do with the Reformation, there's something to do with industrialization, and something to do with the French Revolution. So here's what you need to think about, and here's how you need to study. Why any topic? All right, they're not going to, I don't know how to say this. Most of the test isn't going to be finite little details. That's more of an A-push kind of thing makes their test more difficult. These are broader kind of topics. So why these three? Why the next three on the next slide? Because they're broad. They have multiple angles that you can cover them from. They obviously change society. And so think about that. As you go through your notes and study everything, review everything, because there's a good chance it could be part of the essay, part of a short answer, or part of a multiple choice question, DBQ, who knows. But also think about, okay, this isn't really that broad. It doesn't have that much of an impact on the future, or how things are going to change in the past. So Reformation. All right, this is just from the AP people here. The Reformation is a complete change in society. It's the Catholic Church under attack. The Catholic Church was everything in the Middle Ages, and now it's under attack. Why is it a broad topic? Well, you've got Luther, you've got Calvin, you've got Anabaptists, you've got Henry VIII, but you've also got the Catholic Counter-Reformation, the Council of Trent, and Jesuits, and all those kind of things. So it's a great break. It's a huge change from what dominated society, the Catholic Church, and it changes power to monarchs. Some monarchs are going to embrace new religions and use it to their advantage. Other monarchs are going to re-embrace the Catholicism and use it to their advantage. So again, I'm not covering everything, but I'm trying to get you to think about big picture, Reformation, who are the different people, different topics, what's the impact. Industrialization is another one. You could talk about the agricultural revolution and how that freed up more people to be farmers. You could talk about inventions. That's probably the least important topic, unless it's the steam engine or the railroad. But you could talk about society. You could talk about the opportunities it offered people. You could talk about pollution and crime and bad housing, and then all the changes that come with it. Industrialization is going to inspire socialism and Marxism, French utopian socialism. I guess I already covered that one. Jeremy Bentham and utilitarianism. So industrialization is this massive isms that it creates, changes in society, both good and bad. It creates new classes. The working class has more opportunities. There's lots of things that the Industrial Revolution can cover and can relate to. The French Revolution, I said it when we talked about it. We spent the most time on it than any topic. It's totally shattering the way things used to be. Now, the age of Metternich from 1815 to 1848, they're going to try to hold on to the way things used to be, or restore them, I should say, but they're going to fail eventually with the 1848 revolution. So the French Revolution can be connected to afterwards, 1848, Age of Metternich. It can be related to beforehand, Louis XIV, the Enlightenment, and other monarchs that are trying to rule that way. So the French Revolution's got all the phases. It's got the phase where they accomplish all the good stuff from 1789 to 1789 to 1791. Then you have the radical phase, 91 to 99. Then you have Napoleon and the wars and the civil code and all that kind of stuff. So the French Revolution is just massive. The Ancien Regime, the shattering of the past, other countries trying to copy it. All three of these topics are huge. They change things. And as I look at these tests in front of me, All 4 of these tests have questions on those topics. Those are the 3 probably biggest ones so far. They're not in order. The French Revolution is probably number 1. Then these are our other big ones, and maybe these are a little bit more surprising, but not totally. All right. Spain early on. Okay. Well, why? Again, think why. Think what's the topic. The topic's importance. Well, Spain dominated. And again, this could be Charles V. This can be Christopher Columbus and the Columbian Exchange. It can be the Reformation and Isabel and Ferdinand. I know they're much earlier, but they're the Catholic kings of Europe, and they're the defenders of the Catholic faith. This could be Holy Roman Emperor. It could be Charles V. It could be the Spanish Inquisition. So Spain early on, and the gold and mercantilism and the inflation it causes, they're a big part of things early on. They're probably more common than the Renaissance itself, but not as popular as the Reformation. Communism after World War II is interesting because you have this huge contrast. You've got things that sound good, communism, equality, all those kind of things. But we know it's not good, and we know it fails, and the collapse of communism. So again, communism, you've got the Soviet Union, you've got Stalin, Brezhnev, Khrushchev should actually be second. You've got the fall of it, and they like the fall of it a lot because you've got Poland and Czechoslovakia in 68 and Hungary in 56, Poland 56 and in the 70s. You've got Lech Walesa. All these things we'll talk about if we haven't talked about them yet by the time I've made this video. So communism and what it was and why it worked and why it failed and what they were trying to accomplish is on, I think, 3 of the 4 tests. It's not as popular as the first 3. But you could also talk about economics. I'm looking at here post-war GDP, gross domestic product, comparing the East to the West, that kind of stuff. And then Russia. They like Russia early on too. Maybe not as back as far as the 1400s. They're not going to really do Ivan the Terrible, but they do like the plight of the peasants. They do like Peter the Great. They do like Catherine the Great. They like how far behind they were and then how they try to catch up. They're interesting in the 1800s because the revolutionaries are typically rich kids that are trying to overthrow liberal reforms, which is kind of backwards compared to most countries. Russia is also interesting because they are so far behind. And even in the Crimean War of the 1850s, they think they're great because they helped defeat Napoleon, but in reality, they're behind, and the Crimean War of 1850s exposes that. That's where you get Alexander II and Alexander III. And then all the way up to the 1900s with the Russian Revolution of 1905, and the big one in March of 1917, and the communist one in October, November of 1917. So Russia. Again, I'm not covering every detail. I'm just trying to get you to think, and then you got to take this, you can pause it, you go do your study, you go do your review. Finally, the lucky number 7. Finally, there we go, lucky number 7. This isn't much of a multiple choice. This is more short answers and maybe even an essay. I'm going to try to make videos on these as we go along, but right now I want you to think about it. I've given you a website right here for women. It just goes through a bunch of them. We didn't talk about all of them, but it's a good range, time period, contributions. Again, I know you probably can't click on this link, but you can type it in and get it. This is more of a short answer or essay, like I said before, kind of topic. So how did their lives change? How were they treated? Like minorities in the French Revolution, black people being brought over as slaves and symbols of wealth in the Renaissance. Eventually 1900s with imperialism and decolonization, which is after World War II. Those are big topics for blacks and for minorities. And women, it's just how they were treated and the rights they got. And even the Reformation, Martin Luther, go ahead and get married if you're a pastor or a priest. Catholic Church, no way. So again, I'm not giving you all the information. I'm just trying to give you themes and give you ideas, and hopefully it gets you studying and gets you prepared and gets you thinking. All right.